Gideon, are you tired of paying extortionate prices to upload your podcast? Our podcast, this podcast.
I am incredibly tired of paying extortionate prices to upload podcasts. That's actually what was on my mind just now, Niall. That's crazy.
That's insane. Dylan, are you sick of struggling to distribute your podcast to all the different podcast apps and services?
Oh, yeah, I don't have enough hands.
Alright, that's enough out of you. Well, guess what? You don't have to worry about that anymore, because now we're sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to start a podcast. Here's why. It's completely free with absolutely no hidden costs. If you don't have fancy audio recording or editing software, you can use their creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They will distribute your podcast for you, so you don't have to worry about setting up the RSS feed on multiple different services that are difficult to access. Then they want all this different info about your podcast that you don't know how to find, and you have a mental breakdown and now because you're crying about the fact that it's 2016 and you're 11 years old and starting a podcast with your mate because you just wanted to talk about Spider-Man movies, and now you're having to learn what an RSS feed is. There's none of that. You just have to upload it to Anchor, click a few buttons, and they automatically upload it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's how we're doing it right now. It's everything you need to start a podcast. I will say I've been podcasting for 4 years now, and especially when trying to do this podcast, like we went through so many different hosting services. We went through so much different stuff and stuff like that, and I've had difficulty on every single hosting services other than Anchor, because they either cost way too much or would only let us upload like a maximum of 5 episodes. But we moved to Anchor, and I was genuinely skeptical at first, but it worked insanely well. It's got everything
Chances
I want
are,
and need.
The majority of people listening to this would not be listening if we weren't with them. So
yeah, without Anchor, we wouldn't be recording this podcast. And it's completely free. There's unlimited episodes forever, and that's how we're still doing this. And I'm going to actually be moving my other podcast that I do over to Anchor, because Anchor is really great. So mandatory call to action, it says here. I've got it. This is mandatory that I say this. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started on your podcast. Once again, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. On with the episode.
We love you.
We love you, Anchor.
Yeah, thanks, Anchor.
Recording. Niall.
Gideon.
Dylan.
We're back again. Episode 12. We do want to say there was an ad at the start of this episode. That's our first ad we've done, and all the profit we make from this ad will be being donated to all the different like bail funds and stuff like that for the Black Lives Matter campaign and stuff like that. If you want more info on it, I did talk about it and put a post up yesterday on both my Instagram account and the MTR Instagram account.
There is a website as well, which is blacklivesmatters.card with 2 R's.co, which has all the different petitions you can sign and everything you can do. So go have a look at that.
Yeah, so
sign the petitions.
Yeah, sign the petitions. Donate if you don't have money to donate. Like, there's that person who's doing the thing on YouTube where you like put the video on loop and the ads play, and you watch that and you can do.
And if you don't have money to donate, share this podcast because all the profits from it are going to those.
Yeah, and the more like views and listens we get on this, the more money we can donate, because it's done like via per 100 listens we get this amount of money. So yeah, please do whatever you can. I don't want to say specifically share this podcast because there's a lot of other things you can do, but if this is how you want to do it, that's fine. I don't want to make it seem like we're turning this into a plug, which is like, it's dangerous territory.
Yeah.
But look, just donate however you can, sign petitions, everything like that. Try and make a change. That said, let's get into spooky stories. Scary. I forgot it's called that.
Scary. Play that theme tune now.
Scary.
That's great. So yeah, we're doing this.
What a good theme tune. I really enjoyed that once more.
Thank you, Dylan. We are recording this. Well, we're doing this first before we do the rest of the episode, because the rest of the episode is going to be quite serious. So we're going to do this first, get it out of the way, and then get into more serious stuff.
Yeah.
So, look, if you don't know what Our Scary is, every week there's 3 of us, and we have 3 spooky stories. And what we do is we take it in turns, reading a spooky story that this time I made up with. 2 of came up with. I was doing so well. 2 of them are real, 1 of them is fake, and Gideon and Dylan have to guess which one is the fake one and which 2 are the real 2.
I am notoriously terrible at this game.
And I am notoriously bad at explaining it.
Gideon keeps losing. Gideon,
last week you did alright. I think every time. I don't think I've ever won.
I think I've won a couple times.
I'm just trying to change that this week.
But
Who's the best? Who's the best at this?
I've never lost, but I
One of
think
you
I've
two.
only won once.
I think I've
Yeah.
won at least 2 times.
I think
Probably you
you've
then,
won
Dylan.
all other than like 1 or 2 that you've been guessing for.
Everyone
We don't
can
know.
guess
We'll
mine,
listen
though.
through. But right. So who's? So I did the story, so I get to choose who reads first, and I
Get to
think
choose.
I want Dylan to read first this week.
You've always put me
Okay.
read first.
It's just because I love
read
the titles
I read
of this
first
one.
last week. I read first last
That
week.
is fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
The title of this one is "The Dog from the Movie Up is Dead."
What?
Niall!
I came up with the title, by the way, just for
should
the
say,
record.
yeah, we always come up with the
This
titles
isn't
for these, that's why
actually
they're
the
always so
title of the
weird.
story. Okay. The Lemp Mansion in St. Louis is known to be one of the most haunted places in America due to a tragic history that continues to haunt people today. The 33-room home was built in the 1860s by William Lemp, a successful brewery owner who ended up killing himself in 1904, after the youngest of his 4 sons, Frederick, died. A few years later, his wife also died of cancer in the house. Then in 1922, William Lemp Jr. shot himself in the same room William Sr. killed himself.
William
There's a lot of
Senior, that was, not
Williams
Sir.
and Lemps.
That's
Love
Dylan. That's William
Williams.
Senior, not William Sir.
Oh, I can't read.
I just wanted to clarify that.
God damn it. As if there weren't enough tragedies for one place, in 1949, Charles Lemp, William's 3rd son, shot his dog in the basement of the home and then killed himself in this
days.
room.
That's where the
That same
title comes
year,
into
the
it.
house was sold and transformed into a boarding house where reports of hauntings began. According to Destination America, witnesses have experienced burning sensations and slamming doors. Today, the Lemp Mansion is a restaurant and inn that also holds events. On Sunday night, the inn hosts a murder mystery dinner. Oh my god, why is this
Did
so
anyone
long?
live in that story?
No, I think everyone died.
Everyone
Also,
who lived in the house
Everyone
died.
just
Okay.
died.
Okay, 1860s. 1860s, right? He died, I think. I'm trying to read again.
Yeah.
Wait, no, that's when the house was built. He killed himself in 1904. So that means, at least by that time, I don't think he could have been alive by that point.
No, if it's built
That's
in
40
1860s,
years.
that's
That's
4 years.
40
If he
years.
built it when he was in his 30s,
1860s.
if he built it when he's in his 30s and he kills himself in his 70s, that's feasible.
Yeah, or even
Okay.
20s and 60s. Like, that's...
Yeah.
No, why are you defending this, Niall? No, why are you defending
No, because I'm just trying to say, like,
No,
you're
no,
wrong.
why are you defending
I will
this,
jump
Niall?
at
He's
and I
just
will jump
stating
at
facts,
any
Dylan.
opportunity
He's
to
just
prove you
stating
wrong,
facts.
Dylan.
Gideon, I'm trying to make him break. Gideon, just let me do this.
Right, do we want to move on to the
I'm
next
not gonna
story?
join you here, Dylan. Yeah, good idea. Niall, are you going to read second or last?
I will read last because I don't have my story up yet.
Okay.
So Gideon,
God damn
away
it.
you go.
Fair enough. Okay. This one, I mean, the name of this is very personally familiar. The Screaming Basement. George Shepherd recently bought his first house. A year went by when he suddenly noticed a basement he'd never seen before. He checked with his wife, but she clarified it wasn't there before. Suddenly, a loud shriek comes from within the basement. Shaking, they enter the basement. They use the basement a lot. As they went in, the room filled with shrieks that echoed around the room. Covering their ears, they searched the entire room, but there was not a single thing in there. It was completely empty. Not a single thing or objects.
Or
The
objects.
grammar in this
I
is
did copy this
horrible.
down in a rush, I should say.
They sealed up the room entirely, but occasionally they still hear the screams late at night.
Ah, scary.
I don't really get that one.
Basically,
That's just
there was a
screaming coming
basement.
from their basement that they didn't know was there.
Yeah, there was a basement they didn't know was there. They heard a scream, they went in, and it was just like a bunch of like echoey screams.
So you're telling me
Okay.
somebody got a jukebox and went a mad one?
Yeah.
I don't
Sorry, what was
believe
that? I had
that's
to go.
real. Ah, well, you're never gonna know now. You have to watch the
Yeah.
I had to
podcast.
put my
Well, I
mic
mean,
on mute.
He does edit it.
I
You
have-
have to watch the podcast to find out what I
Oh
said.
yeah, speaking of editing,
does
I
that
should point
anyway.
out if there's any mistakes in this episode, it's because I don't have time to edit. So you will have just heard me tell someone that I'm recording and that they can't come into my room. So sorry about that. If there's any mistakes in editing, they're staying in because I don't have time to edit. We've got a sponsor now, we've got a deadline, we've got a... Yeah.
Gotta rush.
Let's just get on with it and
Right.
I'll read your story.
My story is called The Floating Synophilis. I don't actually know how to pronounce that word.
Can't even read your own title.
And I did write the title,
wonder if
so
this is-
I wrote a word I didn't
okay.
even know existed.
Nice.
Jack was asleep in his bed after moving his room around and redecorating it. Why is that funny?
Why is that so
so funny to you?
Jack was asleep in his bed.
It's the fact you just went, Jack was asleep in his bed.
Ah, scary.
Oh
That's
no.
what you started with.
Not
Right, I should say this is the longest story of the bunch, so shut up and let me read
Great,
it.
get on with it then. Get on with it.
Jack was asleep in his bed after moving his room around and redecorating it. In the morning, his girlfriend woke him up and she was crying. It's not that funny. Jack asked what was wrong. Shaking, she said, I saw a figure, like, vertically over you, where you were, like, as you were sleeping. This isn't funny. This isn't funny, Dylan.
Funny.
What are you laughing at? I'm going to start it from the start because you're really ruining the tone of this scary story. I think this might be. I think this might be the scariest story we've had on the podcast yet, and you're ruining it. Okay?
Even scarier than the boogeyman.
Of course. Right.
Wow.
I'm tempted to just mute Dylan.
Yeah.
Right.
As am I.
I know because then she'll just start screaming and I don't have time to edit it out. Jack was asleep in his bed after moving his room around and redecorating it. In the morning, his girlfriend woke him up and she was crying. Jack asked what was wrong. Shaking, she said, I saw a figure, like, vertically over you as you were sleeping. Jack replied, what the fuck, tell me more. And she said it was like a dark figure floating just above him, and she said that she got up and it was still there, but its head was twitching like a dog, looking down at Jack, twitching and sniffling. All of a sudden, it evaporated into thin air. After hearing this, Jack completely freaked out, because his ex-girlfriend told him the exact same story a few years ago. When the ex told him this story, he initially shrugged it away, but having heard a different person say the same thing a second time, he had to get in contact and ask her. When talking to his ex, she said, oh yeah, because remember, we just moved your room around that day. So ignoring Dylan's laughter, I reckon that's terrifying. Like, if it was an individual incident of just like someone saying, oh yeah, there was like a floating figure above you,
There was a
you'd
big
be like,
floating man with a
It's
twitchy
the
head.
fact.
oh yeah, that's just
I
imagine.
saw something vertically over you. Scary.
No, but it's like a shadowy figure with the head of a dog twitching. That's terrifying.
Okay, do you know what I think?
I think that one's fake.
Do you know what I think? I think we're 10 minutes into this and we should get on with
I
it.
too think that,
I
but
think
what's your
Niall's
guess?
one is. I either think my one or Niall's is fake.
Yeah,
I feel like
mine's
yours
probably
could
real.
be legit, Gideon.
Okay,
I feel
do you
like-
want to... Let's do that thing where I don't just copy Dylan because Dylan's better than me. We'll
You know
both
what,
message
Gideon,
you, Niall.
Gideon.
Yeah, both of you message me just so we have proof of your
So I know
answers.
that I will just copy Dylan so that I can't lose.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna say, okay, I don't think I'm right, but I just want to make sure I don't have the same
Oh,
as
it's really
Gideon.
hard.
Don't base
I'm
your
gonna go
answer
for that,
off.
okay.
The whole point of this
No,
is that you shouldn't be
I have
basing
a
your
hunch.
answer off
I
the
have a
opposite of
hunch.
what someone else is gonna
I-
say.
It could be either or, but I feel
Right.
like I laughed way too much to yours, and I feel bad if I said that one's fake now.
So can I say, you both picked the same option. You both went for Dylan's story being the
okay.
fake
Oh
one.
shit!
Okay, well that means I can't lose. I'm happy.
I can now
Gideon, we
I
reveal.
mean, I might not get it right still, but Dylan's not going to get it right, and while I get it wrong, I'm happy.
I can now reveal that the fake story was Gideon's.
Damn
Of
it.
course,
Gideon's
it
was the
basic
fake
ass
story.
pitchfork.
The only thing that made me think it might be mine was
So hang
because
on.
you spelt shepherd without an H.
Can we
Oh, I just thought that.
can we
I just
point
thought you just had bad grammar.
can we point out the fact that like that last story that I read was genuinely real. He woke up to his girlfriend crying because there was a shadowy figure stood above him, freaked out because his ex-girlfriend had said the same thing before, messaged the ex-girlfriend and she was like, oh yeah, it's because we moved your room around that day, and the second time it happened was after they'd moved the room around. That is terrifying. Like an individual scenario where she's just like, oh, sorry figure, you like sleep paralysis.
Okay.
But to happen in the same situation two different times, I reckon that's terrifying.
Great, Noel. Thanks for that
just
one. That's
because he
really
has
cool.
really bad
Really cool and
relationship
great.
problems with ghosts. That's his problem.
Also, I do want to say I've got to give credit to this. That story was actually from Jack Mate's Happy Hour podcast. That's where that story was taken from. I was listening to it and they were talking about ghost stories on an episode, and I was like, we talk about that on our podcast. I'm going to steal this story.
God damn it, no.
Let's play a game that I'm now just going to incorporate as a segment that we played last time. Guess what Gideon is doing at this moment in time?
Oh, the worst segment of the podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Are you stroking Guy Fieri on your wall?
No, you guessed that last week. That's never going to be the answer.
I'm going to guess it again.
Are you recording a podcast with your friends?
Technically, yes, but that is not the answer I'm looking for.
We're not his
God
friends.
damn it.
Also, yeah, no, you are not my friends.
Damn. No, what are you doing? We need to get this bit done as quick as possible because we don't have time.
I was itching my nose with the corner of my phone.
How are we supposed to get that, Gideon?
Think
And
about
thank you
it.
for tuning
Be
in to this
intelligent.
episode of MTO. No.
Thanks.
Right. This is going to get serious now, but I'm dying to talk about this because it's a crazy situation. So Anonymous is back.
Anonymous are back.
That's, for me, as like, because we were all like 12 or whatever when Anonymous was sort of like in their prime the first time 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Them coming back is the biggest thing that's happened in 2020 for me. Like, we've had coronavirus, we've had lockdown, we've had like...
I don't think it's bigger than coronavirus. Still.
Yeah. But like, I think like we all thought back in January the Australian like bushfires and stuff like that would be like the defining thing of 2020, and then there were the World War III threats, and we were like, okay, that'll be the defining thing. And there was Corona and lockdown, and we all, for a very long time, thought, okay, this is the defining thing of this year. Now we've got Anonymous coming back, we've got protests, we've got riots, we've got an uprising against a corrupt society.
Yeah, I don't like the fact as well, that people keep posting these memes of like the 2020 calendar saying, oh, what's the next month got for us? And they were like, oh, what's June got for us? And then Ebola's come back.
Yeah, Ebola's back. Like, what is happening this year?
I think Mother Nature is coming to get her stuff back, honestly, at this point.
I genuinely, I don't believe in supernatural shit, but part of me is like, this is too much happening for it to be, coincidentally, oh, it's just a bit of a crazy year. Like, something weird's going on.
It's mad.
It's inexplainable.
Who's writing a fanfic where everyone gets disease and everyone dies and there's war? What's next? It's like... Taylor Lautner's going to show up and come stab us all.
If this was a movie, people would criticise it for too much happening at once and it being unrealistic. That all this massive stuff is happening at the same time. Like, we are living in an Adam Sandler movie in the worst way.
Yeah.
We really are, aren't we?
And then you look at, and we talked about it at length last episode, and I don't want to do, another really deep episode, because we can talk about serious things without going too deep. But the whole Black Lives Matter situation, and I'm completely in support of Black Lives Matter and all of that, but there's a lot of people I've been seeing online who aren't in support of that, and it's messed up. It's terrifying.
What?
It's just the idiots who say all lives matter.
Actually, can I make a thing?
Also, make a thing, and then I'm going to also make a thing.
There was the Blackout Tuesday thing that happened, and if you're watching this, we recorded this...
Are people using the wrong hashtag?
Yeah.
People are using the wrong hashtag. So, the idea of Blackout Tuesday was everyone was going to see all the Black Lives Matter stuff. That was going to be the main focus. But people kept using the hashtag Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Which just clogged up the hashtag page.
I was literally
I did it, but I tried to do it in a way that I thought would actually help. So obviously I used the right hashtag and then, actually put a link in my bio to the site where you can help.
No one's going to be like, how dare you use Blackout Tuesday as your hashtag.
Yeah.
Just don't use the Black Lives Matter one, because it's counterproductive.
For me, I didn't use any hashtag in mine, which I feel like I maybe should have, or is that better? I don't know. But, and
it's not going to come up on anything.
I used instead of making, the focus of mine, the blank post, I made the focus of mine the fact that we're donating the profits of this episode, and I'm going to be donating some of my own money to it. And the whole point to me of the Blackout Tuesday thing wasn't to let's make all the posts black and it'll be a cool aesthetic. It's to put a permanent, because a lot of people are putting stuff on their stories, but being able to put up a permanent post on your feed that is about this and telling people how to donate and how to make a change. It was never about posting a black square. It was about telling people how they can make a difference and spreading awareness and stuff like that.
I put as well. So I put the thing in my bio, and then I put another slide in it as well, which is a tweet from Isaiah Rashad, which is Take this
actively
time,
post
educate
them.
yourself on our lengthy history today versus being silent. Don't wait for somebody to post an article or link. Self-educate. If you're protesting in the street today, be safe. If you're protesting online, be accurate.
Yeah, 100%.
Preach.
100%.
Preach.
And I saw another thing similar to that I'll read out. If you're not sure how to respond, listen. If you're not sure what to read, research. If you're not sure what to do, donate. Not sure becomes not my problem. It's not enough to be not sure when racism is still taking lives. And that's so true. Like, just because you don't know what the right thing to read or to sign or whatever is, you don't just sit around and wait for someone to send you a link. You go out and you research and you find that link for yourself and you make that change on yourself. We don't need to be like... We shouldn't need to be told to donate before we donate. It should just be...
Yeah.
You shouldn't be donating because everyone else is. You should be donating because you agree with the cause. And I donate because I agree with the cause.
Yeah.
Like,
Also...
I'm just going to take my jacket off so there might be some noise. And again, not editing it out.
In sort of similar news, but not, To Pimp a Butterfly is back in the top 100 album charts on Apple Music.
Yeah, wow.
That's kind of cool.
It'll probably be because of that final track that you were talking about last week as well, where it's got like significance.
I mean, the whole album talks about it, to be fair.
I reckon I'm going to listen to that album soon, if it's like, because it seems to be very relevant.
Listen to it all the way through. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, things are absolutely crazy. And look, we just want to help each other get through it. We want to be there for people, and yeah, things are terrifying. It's a weird world we live in at the moment, and like it's terrifying that people are too scared to go to protests, both because how the police have been acting at the protests, and also because we're in a nationwide lockdown and in a worldwide lockdown. Yeah. Because of Corona, and like, so do you stay in and try and stop the spread of Corona, or do you go out and try and make a difference with this massive problem with corruption and stuff like that? And I mean, there's no right answer.
You know, it's fine to stay in as long as you are also helping in other ways other than going out and protesting.
You can help from your home. Like, there's nothing stopping you from signing petitions, using the platform you have around you to express it. You don't have to go out if you don't feel safe.
What do you guys make of like the riots and the looting?
I think
I'm not surprised that it's happened.
The looting, because
I'm not surprised that it happened at all.
I saw a post the other day on a way to get around looting. I don't remember who said it or who I found it from, but somebody had said that there should be a symbol in shops that support all the Black Lives Matter and stuff, so looters know to avoid them. But then the problem that comes with that is everyone puts that in.
Because they'd just be like, it's defense. Look,
you're spreading the message.
But at the same time, like, I wouldn't like the idea of using Black Lives Matter to protect your own business and your own belongings.
It's literally, it's ridiculous.
I mean, it's only got to the point where businesses are being destroyed because they haven't addressed it in like enough of a big way in so long. Right.
Well, like, you look at, like, I'm going to talk about this because it's something that I know about and do research in and I'm in the circle of, but with, like, the gaming companies, Sony and Microsoft both put up statements about it. Nintendo have stayed quite quiet on it, which I don't know, like, why they're staying quiet on it. Maybe it's because they see themselves as more of a family company, so they don't want to get involved in politics so much. But then the big Nintendo store in New York got looted because of it. The window was broken, they stole a bunch of stuff, and it's a weird one because they didn't say whether or not they were in support of it. But they will be in support of Black Lives Matter, like...
Yeah.
It's not like Nintendo, the creators of Mario, are going to come out and be like, yeah... like, they're a family company, like...
They're for the people.
And Nintendo are, like, one of the most inclusive gaming companies as well. Like, because, like, first of all, they're not an American company. They're Japanese. Like, second of all, they're a Japanese company that's got an Italian plumber voiced by an American guy. Like, it's the most inclusive thing.
Some people as well have been, like, because Kendrick has generally on social media stayed quite quiet about the whole situation, but, like, he never tweets, and he made To Pimp a Butterfly. Yeah. But I don't get how anyone can ever say he's not, like, for the cause or whatever.
It's insane. Yeah. It's absolutely insane that people, like... But with the looting, I would say, like, it's so difficult because it's companies that people will lose their jobs over if they get, like, robbed and stuff like that, and it's not the employee's fault or anything like that. But at the same time, I don't think the protests would be at the point of looting and riots if the police weren't handling what were initially peaceful protests in such a negative way. Like, calling a curfew to stop the protests was wrong. You see the videos of, like, the peaceful protests and then the cops attacking the people at those protests for no reason. And you look at that and you think, well, if the cops are reacting violently to the protesters are gonna react violently to the cops. Like, and it'll just be this, like, ongoing thing.
You're not going to stand there and take it, are you?
Yeah, exactly. And, like, so, and I read a thing that was saying looting and rioting is a valid form of protest against a society that cares about goods and services more than human life, which I agree with, but at the same time, it's businesses and people are using the Black Lives Matter thing and the protests as an excuse to loot, even if they don't necessarily care about the cause. So it's such a difficult middle ground to say, is it okay, is it not? And I don't know, like, I can't make first of all, I'm not in a place to make a decision, but even morally for myself, I can't tell whether I agree with it or not. I'm so all over the place with it.
It is a confusing
I don't know if I agree with it or not, but I completely understand, like, why people feel like they're going to go to that sort of extreme.
Trump's done as of late during these riots?
I mean, he's done a lot. He's locked himself in a bunker.
He turned all the lights off at the White House.
He got people tear gassed so he could take a picture.
What?
Yeah.
Have you not heard of this?
It was to clear the way for, like, a church, and they literally sent, like, tear gas and rubber bullets. And then he took a photo with him holding the Bible as if that justifies it.
So that's the president that runs America. So that's fun.
Yeah.
What?
I think that was like actually having meant to break.
That's insane. Because also, did you see the thing that, because we mentioned Anonymous, but we didn't say what they actually did. They basically did a full video saying, like, look, America, you're not gonna you're not gonna give these cops justice for their crimes. You're not gonna arrest them. You're not gonna do anything like that. If you're not gonna bring them to justice for their crimes, we're gonna expose your crimes. Then immediately released, like, official government documents saying that Donald Trump went to Jeffrey Epstein's private island and raped a 13-year-old girl. Like, they're legit. And it's messed up. And now,
if they because it, like, the fact they've done that right at the start makes you think they've probably got a lot more as well.
Yeah, there's more to come, 100%.
And it's the thing with America is that that's their leader, that's their president.
And there's an election.
That says a lot.
I said this in our group chat as well. There's an election coming up this year, so we'll either get a brand new president who knows if they'll be better or worse.
Joe Biden.
And
hopefully.
Yeah, but we don't know if he'll actually get voted or not. We can pray, but
I think he will. I think this is going to hurt Trump a lot.
Yeah, that's what I said in the group chat. Like, if I don't see him getting elected after this has come out.
I think if he gets elected again, if he's the president for another term, that could literally be a revolution.
But I think even if he does get voted in again, he'll be impeached within 6 months.
He should be. Yeah. He should have been impeached ages ago.
Yeah, well, he was, but then the government or something had to, like, officially vote on it and, like, didn't pass the impeachment or something.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, it's because it's majority Republican.
Speaking of riots currently and petitions, there's a petition going around to stop UK from giving the US tear gas and rubber bullets and stuff, like the exports. So, sign that petition.
Yeah.
Please stop them from having more weapons to use against peaceful protesters. Please.
At the same time, I would say, though, you've got to be careful with that, because then if there is a genuine attack, like, from a terrorist organisation, and they don't have the correct stuff to equip themselves with, that is dangerous.
I guess that is the thing, though, but with America, if they're wasting their supplies
on a massive scale, though, they will not use rubber bullets and tear gas. They will use bullets.
But then, America, they're the violent people.
But you got to think just quickly, if they're using tear gas and rubber bullets at the moment, if they stop getting their supplies of tear gas and rubber bullets, they might move up to more dangerous weapons from that. So you've got to be careful.
That is true.
And on that note, do we want to wrap this one up here?
Yeah, we've done about half an hour. I reckon it's time to wrap it up. We did go deep again on this episode. Yeah. The next episode, we're probably going to have time to record right after this, and we're going to be talking about our favourite. It'll be the next episode either way, whether or not we get to record it now or tomorrow or Friday or whatever. But it's going to be about our favourite songs of the past decade, including 2020. We're going to go through. We're going to do each decade one by one. We're going to have fun
decade
facts.
one by one.
We're going to have
Each
Yes,
year.
each year.
decade,
Sorry,
one
each
by
year.
one.
And we're going to
Go
go
for the
through. We're going to go
1900s.
through each year one by one, and we're going to talk about the Billboard Top 100 a little bit, as well as our favourite songs from that each individual year.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Donate. Donate to stuff,
Share
sign
the podcast,
petitions.
review it. That all really helps us.
Yeah, share the show, and we'll donate all the profits from this episode to. You can actually find what I'm donating to on the MTO Instagram page, which is in the description. I'm not trying to make that a plug, but I just want to say, if you want to see where we're donating to, the link's in there. If you want to make sure you support it, if you have anywhere better for us to donate, please let us know. But this is it's going to be a split donation between 70 community bail funds, mutual aid funds, and racial justice organisations, including the Louisville Community Bail Fund, Philadelphia Bail Fund, LGBTQ Freedom Fund, Chicago, etc., to Massachusetts, stuff like that, to get protesters out, basically.
Yeah.
Right, thank you for listening to this.
Bye.
See you in a bit. Goodbye. Have a good one.
Bye.
Oh, Spotify giveaway next episode. Make sure you listen to it.
Yeah.
See you in a bit.